This is a fair use video. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Any comments made against anyone in this video is solely an opinion.
I just came back from the braiding shop and had them take my sew-in out. And as someone who grew up in a Christian household, but does very much so identify as agnostic, and depending on the day, leaning atheist, I'm not religious. Let me tell you something. If there is one story in the Bible that is true, it's the story of Samson, because they said that nigga got his hair cut off and lost all his superpowers. And I feel that so deeply in my soul right now. Like, I feel like I just took my hair down and I just lost all my superpowers.
Now, most people just chuckle along with this, not take it seriously, because most people don't care about the Bible anyway. They think the Bible is one big joke. It is important that the things that she's saying here is important to listen to, because very often it forms the foundation of a lot of what a lot of people think, or it kind of cements their thinking, right? When you make fun of biblical characters, it's kind of funny. Everybody thinks it's funny and go, well, nobody takes that seriously anyway. It's a joke. The Bible is one big joke, right? So she associates Samson as being a Negro, which he is. He's a black man because he has locks. So she knows that certain characters in the Bible are black, but she uses a derogatory term to describe Samson. She uses the N-word to describe Samson. And as she says, her removing her hair was like that N Samson losing his powers. So she's associating her losing her hair on the same level as Samson losing his powers, because Samson was a Nazarite and he grew locks, and basically if his locks was cut off, he would have lost his powers. And that's exactly what happened to him, because Delilah set him up, and then it ended up killing him in the end. They ended up killing him in the end, the Philistines. Now, this represents the level of disrespect that black women, or modern women in general, have in social media and in these wretched relationships between the black man and the black woman. This is systematic of what is going on today in all of these black relationships.
If you are telling me that in order for a man to want me, in order for me to get a man, that I will need to compromise on my values and my principles. I will need to dim my intelligence, my expressions. I will need to allocate time to serving his ego, his needs, beyond and above my own. I will need to choose to be silent about the injustice that I see happening around the world to other women. Then that's on you.
The thought of serving a man, of being submissive to a man, of being obedient to a man, is alien to these modern women. Now, this is an extreme version of a feminist, but this is how they all think. What has your relationship with your man got to do with other women, the way how other women are treated? And why would he stop you from speaking out against the injustices of other women? What are you talking about? Are you talking about other women that are submitting and serving their husband, their man? Is that what you're talking about? This is how ridiculous the modern woman has become. And this is why men in general, especially black men, don't even bother anymore. Because what is the point? You have a relationship with these people and then they end it anyway. The woman always leaves. She leaves relationships, engagement, she leaves marriages. She just gets in her feelings and go, well, I feel. And then she listens to a stupid, dumb feminist. And then she leaves. That's what normally happens. So black men normally think, oh, hang on, it's not worth it because we're logical. You spend all of that money in a wedding. You invest all of that time, money and energy and your body. You give it to this woman only for her to say, oh, well, emotional security, I need to leave. And then She goes on social media mouthing off about how the injustices of women and she has a problem with submitting. Now, this woman is an extreme version of it, but I'm talking in general terms. This is the culture today of the modern woman. And this is why men are getting switched off, especially black men. We are getting switched off.
If that's the choice you're making, that's fine. Because the wonderful thing about feminism is that we get to choose. Women get to choose the life they want to live.
When you live in a rich Western country, you have the luxury of sitting in a nice home, comfortable home. You switch the light on, it comes on. You switch on the gas, it comes on. You switch on the electricity, it comes on. You got your nice big screen TV, your nice lovely car. You know, the cars these days are quite big. You know, they're all off-roaders these days. I mean, you live in the comforts that is provided by a man, right? If anything goes wrong, you call a man to fix it. Man created the house, the car, the big screen TV. He provides the security. You know, he is the police force, the fireman. He is a security that you rely on, right, to keep you comfortable. Of course, when you have those luxuries, you can feel comfortable enough to say that kind of thing. Now, most people around the world don't live like this. You know, most people around the world do not have cars and big screen TVs and smartphones. They don't. You know, the life that we live here in the West is a life that most people around the world can only dream of. So, of course, when you're comfortable, you say that kind of thing.
And the other major assumption you're making is that I want a man. I want just any man, by any means necessary. Because again, if you haven't heard, adult single women are living amazing lives. We have our own money. We can own assets. We are loved by people in our lives.
This is the typical modern woman thinking, only thinking about now. You see, the typical black woman, who is the daughter of Zion, right? She never thinks about, oh, what is good for our men? What is good for the black man? What is good for our families? What is good for our nation? They never think about the future. They never think about the next generation. They only think about now. Their focus is on now. And now I am happy. And very often these type of people, the way they are now, they're not going to change, because people generally don't change. You know, they can talk about God did this and God did that in the Christian church all day, all night. Generally, Christians don't change. They don't. It's all BS. Because the moment you open the Bible and then the truth pops out of the Bible, the Christian goes, no, I don't want to hear that truth. And then they run away. This is your typical black female, a modern feminist.
And even if there are some single women who yearn for companionship, for partnership, for company, that's okay. But that is not a reason to think that one should completely compromise themselves. That's not a reason for me to accept disrespect and liberty from a man just to tell people I'm in a relationship.
Now, all of you brothers in Africa and brothers in the Caribbean, you can't wait to get to these Western countries. You can't wait to get to Britain and America. And you go, oh, I'm looking for my black queen. I'm looking for my black queen. I'm going to go there and look for my black wife. This is the black wife that is waiting for you. This is the black wife that is waiting for you.
I just wanted to give my hair a week to breathe, deep condition it, give it some TLC, but I lost all my superpowers.
Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel. Today I'm going to deal with a Bible share or a video commentary share called Emotional Security. Emotional security. So this is a continuation of this sister who left her man, right? Now, they were not legally married, but they were living together for a few years. So she left him because she said, although he was a really good man, right, she doesn't have anything really negative to say about him. The only thing negative she has to say about him is that he didn't give her emotional security. Now, as she talks, she's going to explain what she means. So I'm going to give some commentary on that. I'm going to continue the commentary on that and hopefully edify you with some scriptures. Now, I don't know this sister, and obviously I don't wish to offend anyone, and I don't wish to harm this sister. But, you know, I think it's important to use videos like this to explain the errors that we as a people do. And this is why our relationships and our marriages don't work. I think it's important to show those, and not only to point them out, but to actually point them out with the scriptures, with the Bible. So at least we know the problem and how to fix it.
Think.
And listen, before you answer, I'm going to tell you why that's important. My brothers, men, believe that women, you just can't please them. You can give the woman everything. Like, you even showed me a reel that somebody shared where you give this woman this, you go against your own core values, let them move in with you, and then you put a ring on their finger, and then she ups and leaves you for no reason. Like, men are being so triggered by your experience because they already believe it before you even did it. All you did was validate their fear.
Now, this presenter has just gotten married, right? And he's actually voicing what many men are saying in general, are saying in modern times, which is there's no point engaging in any of these relationships because it's just going to end badly anyway. It's going to end badly, and it's going to end, right? It's going to end after a year, 2 years, possibly even after 2 months. It might even end before it even gets to a courtship. You know, so men are voicing that they are not happy with women. Black men in particular are voicing that they are not happy with black women. And I suppose he's been getting it in the neck. So that's why he's forced to say something about it.
You validate their fear in saying that, see, you can give a woman, and I've seen it. I've seen this person who was married. Now, I can applaud you for not even getting married and making the decision that you felt like was best for your life.
Obviously, he's coming with his Christian ideals, you know, what they teach in the Christian church. Marriage is sex. When you consummate a relationship, that is marriage. Now, you may not go through the proper protocols to be married. You may not ask the father whether do you mind me marrying your daughter, but it is effectively marriage. There's no going around that. You are bonded together as one flesh. You sewn a covenant. That is marriage. But he's saying something really ridiculous, like, oh, at least you didn't get married. This is the problem. You're telling these women that you can go from man to man to man as long as you're not legally married. It's fine. It's not fine. And just to add, in this case, she was engaged to her man. So they were engaged. And I think they said both sets of parents were involved, especially the both dads were involved. I think that's what she said. So, you know, it was official that they were engaged, which is a promise, which is pretty much marriage, and they were living together. So that covenant was already consummated.
It was a lady that went viral that was married and said, I've been married with my husband X amount of years. He is so perfect. He is so great. He takes care of me. He does this and that. I mean, she said nothing bad in that video and said, I just didn't want to be married anymore. And people were like, what in the world? Do you know how devastating that would be to give the woman everything that she desired? And she admits, no, my husband takes care of me. He loves me well. He's a great father. He's great, everything. I just didn't want to be married anymore. You know how traumatizing that is to a man, because a lot of men don't even see that as an example. It's most of us. And then to become the example that you want to see and it still don't work out, they become the red pill community. Mm-hmm. Those people like, don't trust women. I hate women. They this. And it just gets very toxic.
Now, it's quite unusual because this guy is actually speaking on behalf of men, because normally when it comes to these Christian circles, they just gloss over it. And normally the woman does whatever the hell she wants to do. And then nobody has anything to say about how a man feels, how a black man feels. And black women, they treat black men like dirt. Because number one, the black man doesn't have any power. We don't have any power being in these Western countries. And number two, who the hell cares anyway? He's a man. I should be able to treat him like trash. Hell, I can lie to him, promise him stuff, not deliver. I can nag him all day. Say, oh, well, you don't give me this and you don't give me that. You need attention. You don't give me affection, and we're not doing this and we're not doing that. Meanwhile, he's trying to keep everything together. He's trying to work. He's trying to do things to keep the whole relationship together. But you can't see it because you're in this kind of zone where you just want to be dating and going and doing fun things all the time. And he's in the zone of, we need to knuckle down and we need to think about the future. But she's not seeing it that way, because a lot of these women today are very, very selfish. They expect the maximum and they give you the minimum to zero.
I'm just saying something that you felt, whether it was God that showed you or didn't, that said, this is what I felt that I couldn't live long term with.
Yeah. Okay, so I will say when we first moved in together, I was working my full-time job as a news anchor. And then a year ago in September, we made the decision that it was best for me to leave the job. My contract had ended. They offered me to renew it, and we decided together that, okay, we're not going to do that anymore.
So she said, we decided. In other words, her man and her decided that she was not going to carry on doing that job anymore. Obviously, there were reasons why he decided that she shouldn't be doing that job anymore. So now she doesn't have a job. So let's hear what she's saying.
So I started my own business, and he said that he would take care of everything financially. So that became the norm for our household.
So she had a job, she left. So now he's lumbered with being the sole breadwinner in the household. He's the only one making the real money in the house, right? So just bear that in mind.
But I think in that, what got lost was the dating.
This is why they go on about the red pill community and how it's toxic. She has been living with this guy for a few years. She decided to quit her job. Her man, who really is technically her husband, even though they were not legally married, but they were living together, said, yes, you can, because I will take care of you. I will protect you and provide for you. We will be fine. You can leave. So he is now effectively doing what a husband is supposed to do. But now she's talking about dating. What dating are you talking about? You are now his woman, his wife, effectively his wife. What we need to be hearing from you is what you did to keep the relationship together. Did you comfort him? Did you cook for him? Did you clean for him? Did you comfort him while he was having a bad day at work? What did you do which was wife-like? We don't want to hear about you and dating. I swear, some of these women behave as if like they're children. What dating are you talking about? He's just decided to pay your bills. And you're talking about dating.
So I think because he was paying all of the bills, it was like, okay, now I don't have to put an effort over here.
What the hell is this moron talking about? She's talking about dating. You've moved in with this dude. You've left your job. He's supporting you. He's keeping the household together financially. He's working. This man is going through stress. And you're talking about dating. What the hell are you talking about? Now, I'm just still blown away by the fact that this man is carrying all the stress. This woman doesn't seem to have any kind of stress whatsoever. He's trying to take on a responsibility in the household of providing for everybody in the household and keeping you in a good lifestyle. a lifestyle that you enjoy. And then your answer to that is by stressing him out by talking about emotional security. I mean, something seems wrong about this. I mean, and this is how, now I'm talking in general terms now. Now, this is how modern women are ungrateful, because you could give them a house, feed them, take care of them, protect them, provide leadership for them, provide a roof for them. And then they would still look at you as if like, well, it's what you're supposed to do anyway. But you said with your own mouth that you weren't married, so he didn't have to do it. So why was he doing it? If the attitude is, well, that's what you're supposed to do anyway. Well, I could do it too. You're not the only person who could do it. I could do it too. This is how ungrateful a lot of the modern women are today. There's a complete lack of respect and understanding of what black men go through. There's a lack of respect for black male authority.
And I don't think that in his mind he was thinking that way. I don't think that it was intentional or anything like that. But there was just no emotional intimacy. And so that's when I suggested that we go to couples therapy to try and, get that back. And
so now he's now stressed because he's the only breadwinner. He's taking care of her, trying to keep her in a lifestyle, right? And now she's snagging him, talking about emotional security and dragging him off to couples therapy. I mean, what the hell? He is paying your bills. He is stressed. He doesn't have the freedom like you have, because he's thinking about how he's going to pay the bills, how he's going to support you. And you're talking about couples therapy? I tell you, man, these women are completely gone. They are completely gone in the West. They are not wives. Not all of them. Not all of them. There's some really good sisters. But generally, they are not wives. Not in the Western world. They have become something else. They're not wives anymore.
Actually, it was before I quit my job. It was already kind of brewing before then. And then I quit my job. And then it was even kind of more so because now I had a lot more free time.
So she was a pain in the backside before, and then she quit her job, and then she became more of a pain in the backside to deal with. What the hell are you talking about emotional intimacy? It really grinds me in my soul when I hear women talking about emotional intimacy. They give you the minimum. If a man asks you to cook meals, clean the house, seeing that you're at home most of the time and you don't have a job, do things around the house. Now, I don't know about this woman because I don't know this woman, but I'm talking in general terms. They have 1,000 words why they shouldn't do it. They give you the minimum, the bare minimum, just to shut you up at times. The bare minimum. To zero, to nothing at all. But they expect the maximum back in return. They expect you to give them constant reassurance, constant intimacy, constant affection, constant emotional intimacy, whatever that is, emotional intelligence or whatever nonsense that is. They want you to give you constant of whatever whim they come up with. So if they wake up this morning and get an emotional feeling, oh, well, you need to love me more. You only held me for 2 seconds. You should have held me for half an hour, for an hour. You should hold me before I go to sleep. It's like, come on, man. The man is tired. He's got things that he's worrying about. It's not just about you. They give you minimum to zero and they expect the maximum back in return. They expect a Superman. A Superman. That's what they expect. And what this woman is, I got to give it to her. She's being honest. What this woman is doing is explaining exactly what most men are going through. This is the silliness that is happening today in these relationships, in these black relationships, these Israelite relationships. That's why they don't work.
And so he works from home. I'm at home. And so I'm like, hang out with me. Let's go do something. Let's go to the gym. Or, like I wanted to spend time with him. And it just, I think it was just, we just stopped spending time. We stopped dating. We stopped doing the things that I guess like brought us together.
Let me give you women some advice. If he is a good man, and she has nothing but good things to say apart from the emotional security about this dude, right? She has nothing but good things to say. She said he was a good man. If a man is a good man, if you were a wife or you showed wife-like skills, this man would have married you, would have legally married you in a heartbeat. He would have lived with you for a year and he would have went, no, we just have to get married. We have to do it. Let's do it tonight. He wouldn't drag out an engagement for like 2, 3, 4 years. He would get it done like in a year or 2 years or 3 years. He wouldn't drag it out like this. But he didn't, because you were not showing wife skills. To get the best out of someone, you need to give them something. Something. People don't just change. If you see the man is working all the time and he is the only breadwinner in the home and he's not reacting the way how he used to react, that means maybe something that you're not giving the relationship. You as a woman are not giving to him, but he can't articulate it because he has been trained to see you as being the prize.
And as time went on, I think in my mind, I thought, okay, he's working really hard. I'm going to let him grind it out and I'm going to do the same. And so I started getting clients and getting really busy. And then I met women who are, engaged or in long-term relationships too. So, going out to the club, and that wasn't even a thing for me. Like we were going to girl dinners and, so that wasn't a thing. And
listen carefully to what this woman is saying. She said she started to have like a little business whereby she's meeting other women that have been long-term relationships or engagement, and she started to go on girl dinners. Now, if you know anything about the black community and about Western women in general, women and other women's relationships, I'm telling you, women and other women's relationships. I'm going to be honest with you. If you sit down with another woman that is whinging, oh, well, he won't do this, he won't do this, he won't do that, won't do this, won't do this, won't do this. And then you start whinging about your man. He won't do this, won't do that. I think you should leave. I think you should leave. I think you should leave. Because my man doesn't do that. I think you should leave. That's what girl dinners are about. Now, I'm not completely exonerating this dude, right? But I'm saying women always make a big thing out of emotional intelligence and you don't spend time. Meanwhile, the guy is stressed. He's working hard. He has to deal with things that you can't even contemplate. You could do your little piddly little businesses. You call them businesses, but they can't pay the bills. He's paying the bills. He's taking care of the household. And all you're doing is whinging. What he needs is a woman that's going to bring him tea, cook, clean, take care of the household, be a wife. Not talking about dating. Dating is for children. Right? Dating is not of the Bible anyway. But when you get to a certain age and you're living with someone, you are his wife, effectively his wife. So that means you need to do wife things. That's what you should be doing as a woman. And then when you do wife things to him and you understand what he has to go through, then you can pull him on board to do the things that you want him to do. But if everything is about, well, you don't give me this, you don't give me that. Everything is about emotional experience. And then you drag him off to counseling. I mean, come on, man. People start getting tired after a while because what he really wants is a wife. He doesn't want someone who's nagging and being a pain in the backside to deal with. He wants someone who's going to be sympathetic to his plight.
It's crazy because the very thing that I thought would help, like just by me taking time and like giving him the time, is what ultimately like drove us apart. Because I grew in so many ways and he was still kind of just like stuck in his rhythm and flow, and it like became really apparent on my birthday. Like he had no idea what to do or like get me, because he's just like, I don't know. So he just didn't do anything.
One of the biggest things that destroys the union between Israelite married couples or couples in general, black couples, is the pagan days. The birthday, the all about me days, which black women love. Valentine's Day, another pagan day that the black woman loves and enjoys. Then you have the Mother's Day, which is another pagan day, which the black woman loves and enjoys, even though she doesn't have any children. But it's all about the woman. It's all about you taking care of her on that day. That's her day. The birthday, all about me. What are you going to do for me? The Valentine's Day, it's all about her. What are you going to do for me? You don't bring me flowers. You don't bring me chocolates. You need to take me on a cruise. You need to treat me like a queen. And the pagan Mother's Day, it's all about me. All about me days. This is your typical modern female. She's pagan. She calls herself, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord. The Bible says you should have no other God but the Lord thy God. So why are you doing Valentine's Day worshipping Cupid? Why are you doing birthdays worshipping yourself? Why are you doing Mother's Day worshipping another God? Shouldn't you be focused on cultivating that relationship and becoming a wife?
You guys weren't connecting. You weren't finding time to connect. Did you talk about that with him?
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, we talked about it a lot. It was like a broken record, I felt
What would
like.
he say? What was his response?
He's working a lot, and it wasn't that, he didn't want to. And I really like understood where he was coming from. But at the same time, it's like, you work from home though, like just an hour, like.
Now, I've watched pretty much most of this interview. And throughout the whole interview, neither one of these two interviewers are asking her questions like, what did you do to help him? When he was paying all the bills, I'm going to sound like a broken record. When he was paying all the bills, what were you doing to help him? In fact, even if he wasn't paying all the bills, the fact that you live in a house with him and you are married, even though you don't think you are, but you are living like a married couple and you are having sex. So that means you're following all the guidelines of marriage, right? Therefore, you need to take your place as a wife and he needs to take his place as a husband, right? And so far so good. I've not heard them ask her, what did you do to help him? All I hear is she dragged him off to counselling and whinging about, he just didn't want to spend time with me. Well, maybe you were not worth spending time with because you're such a pain in the ass to deal with.
Just take a second. I don't know. And I think I started to become very resentful. So then the resentment got so bad that then it was just like, now I'm unattracted. Now I don't even want, like, it just kind of started trickling down and to the point where it just felt like exhausting to try. At first, trying was like not necessarily exciting, but it was like, we're gonna try to get somewhere, and I'm on the hamster wheel, and then I eventually, like, you just get tired and you want to just get off.
Now, I'm not saying as a man you're supposed to neglect your wife or anything like that. I'm saying you should give her affection, but not to a ridiculous degree. Not in an irrational, stupefied way, where you raise the woman up and you become a simp for a woman, right? Every beck and call, you're there, and she's nagging you to death about doing this and doing that, and then dragging you off to counseling, making you feel terrible, and then you have to come back home and deal with a woman who's just a pain in the backside to deal with, just nagging you about stupid, dumb things. It's like, you talk about the man not giving you affection and all the rest of it. Were you cooking and cleaning? Were you taking, when he was working, right? I know you said he was working from home, but it's still work. Were you cooking and cleaning? Were you taking care of the household? When he's busy on the phone with a client, when he's busy online speaking to his boss, what were you doing to make his life comfortable in the home? Those are the things we want to hear. We don't want to hear about what he didn't give to you, because all this emotional stuff is BS. A lot of it is BS. It is women trying to come up with excuses to leave. Now let's go to a scripture to quantify it. Let's go to 1 Esdras 4, and we're going to read from 18 to 27. Here, ready, go. Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favour and beauty? In other words, yes, they do. And letting all those things go, do they not grape, and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her, and have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever? Because we love women. Men love women. Right? Men in general, heterosexual men, godly men, we love women. We love black women. We love black women. We are wired that way. Black men love black women. Right? The Bible says every beast loveth its like. Right? It's impossible for you to say as a black man, I hate black women. You can't hate black women, because you were made to love them. You are wired to love them. You are wired to be their leader, their head, right? So, let's read again. It says, and letting all things go, do they not grape, and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her, and have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever? A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleave it unto his wife. Right? Because men leave their parents, their father and mother, and cleave unto their wives as one flesh. He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife, and remember it, neither father nor mother nor country. So it says, stick it not. So when it says stick it not, it means that he sticketh not on his father and mother and country, right? To spend his life with his wife, and remember it, neither father nor mother nor country. So it's saying it here. 22. By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman? Right? There's nothing wrong with giving things to a woman, taking care of a woman, loving a woman. The Bible says you should love her as you love yourself. You're supposed to give affection to a woman. That goes without saying, but not to an extreme degree. When you become a simp for a woman, right? You become simple because you're so obsessed with the woman and pleasing her to an excessive degree that you become a simp. You're like a puppet. If she says go, you go. If she says stand, you stand, right? You now controlled by her. So it says in 22, by this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman? Yea, a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and to steal, to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and looketh upon a lion and goeth in the darkness, and when he hath stolen, spoiled and robbed, he bringeth to his love. So we go through quite a lot in this world, only to give it, to bring whatever spoils that we got from working, from going through all these hardships, we bring it home to our love, which is our wife. Wherefore, 25, wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. 26, yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes. So you're not supposed to be excessively like a servant for a woman. Take things too far where you now become controlled by her, just like Adam was controlled by his wife Eve, right? That's what the Bible is getting at. 27. Many also have perished. Many, like Samson, perished. They died. Have erred. They erred from the truth. Erred from the relationship with Christ. They didn't have a relationship with Christ because they disobeyed Christ because of the woman. Have erred and sinned for a woman. And sinned for a woman. So you have to be very careful how you treat your wife. You can't go over the top. Just because she says, well, I need emotional security, it doesn't mean that you drop everything and then you hold her like for a substantial amount of the day. Bills still need to be paid, right? Things still need to be done, right? So you got to be careful as a man. And a lot of us men, we fall into the trap of listening to our wives all the time. Listen to the woman that loves us all the time because we want to please her. And the Bible is saying that you shouldn't always do that. Don't become a servant for a woman, because it says that many men also have perished, have died, like Samson and Delilah. Samson died because he became a servant for a woman. Have erred from the truth, have erred from Christ, God. Sinned and sinned for a woman. So it is a sin to become a servant for a woman.
Now, did you say he was taking on the bills? How do you think that weighed on him?
For sure.
As a man?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, it had to have. Mm-hmm. So, half of everything was taken away. Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't like when we were living together and we were engaged and I was still working, I didn't necessarily pay half of everything, but it probably evened out to half. Mm-hmm. So, I did contribute financially still. Mm-hmm. And it was only when I quit that stopped. So I do think that.
Did he start to kind of emotionally disconnect around that time?
It was already before that. We already were in therapy for the emotional intimacy and like wanting to connect before I quit my job. And then I don't necessarily think it got worse. I just think it was more apparent for me because I wasn't leaving to go to work and then coming back, Mm-hmm. So now it was just like highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go to the Bible. So let's go to 1 Timothy 5, and we're going to read from 10 to 13. Well reported of for good works. So this is talking about the older woman and the younger woman, right? So it's the laws around that. So it says, well reported of for good works, if she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work, right? So this is talking about those women that are supposed to be looked after by the church, right? So I think it's talking about 60 years and above. But younger women refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry, having damnation because they have cast off their first faith. And withal, they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. You see, idle is the key word, idle. When you have a job, you have structure. You're busy doing things. So after a full day's work, you are tired. Your brain is you're mentally drained, you're physically drained, and you are tired. When you don't have a job, you are idle. When you're not focused on, when you don't have things that you're fully focused on all the time during the day, you are idle, right? You don't have any children, you are idle. So it says, and withal that learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. So you're going from house to house, having girl lunches, and not only idle, but you're not only idle, but tattlers also, but you're busybodies. See, you're busybodies as well. and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not, right? So you are engaging in sin. You're gossiping. You're talking about things that you should not be talking about. Well, my husband does this and my husband doesn't do this. Well, I think you should leave him. You know, stuff like that. Men are this and men are that. Black men want this and black men want that. Black men are dogs. You know, the usual stuff that black women talk about black men. Right? So let's read 13 again. And withal, they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. They're going, having girl lunches, going from house to house. And not only idle, they are idle, very idle. But tattlers also and busybodies, always talking about things that you're not supposed to be talking about, that are not edifying. Speaking things which they ought not. 14. I therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children. So the younger woman is supposed to be married, right? In other words, you're supposed to have a husband, and a husband has a wife, right? There's no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend. There's a husband and his wife, or a wife and her husband, or a wife and her man. I therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children, guide the home. You're supposed to be taking care of the household, cooking, cleaning, make sure that household is organized for your husband. While he's busy earning money, making money, worrying about paying the bills, you are making the household comfortable for him. So it says, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachably, right? So you have a good image. People are not saying bad things about you. Oh, that woman, she's loose. She's a whore. People are not saying those kind of things about you. Oh, she's a gossiper. Oh, she said this and she said that. And you're not getting in scrapes with other women saying, well, you shouldn't be talking like that about my man, my husband, or whatever. Right? So it says, therefore, the younger women marry, bear children, guide the home, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, for some are already turned aside after Satan. So Paul is saying it's already happening. And this was what? Well, at least around 2,000 years ago. Well, probably not 2,000, probably a little bit less than 2,000 years ago. So if that was then, in the age of technology of Instagram and TikTok and social media and smartphones and the internet in general, do you not think that that is even more relevant now? Of course it's more relevant now. And this is why we are going through the things that we're going through today, because it's now etched up to 100. You see, now it's more relevant than it ever was. Now, I may continue this in a third video. Brothers and sisters, I hope you are edified. Shalom.